right.
7.
It's about quarter of.
Oh my God! What time is it? 6 o'clock.
It's about quarter of.
No, it isn't. We're supposed to be there at 7. It's only 6 o'clock. It is not 6 o'clock. You want to see? Turn the car on for a second, Dad. Dad, turn the car on for a second. Dad. Dad.
All right. We're all here. John. No, they should be okay. All right. Danny, now move down.
We're not too formal, so everybody sit down.
Good.
Formal again.
What's upstairs with me? All right. Can I have them show them now or? Yeah.
Go ahead, Napa. Don't touch anything.
That's right. When we go upstairs, I want you to stay together, and I don't want you touching anything because there's a lot of stuff up there that's loose and can be broken. Okay, so look and don't touch. If you got any questions, you know, just ask me.
Ask me now.
Got a question now?
Okay, let's go then. We all set?
All right, we're going to go upstairs. Now, actually open yet. You can see we've got cleaning stuff all over the place. They're trying to get it straightened away so that we can open it up. These doors behind you, old fire station that they closed over on North Montello Street, up where Battle Street hits North Montello. And these are the original doors, and you've got the stained glass windows in them. And you can also see one's been busted already. These doors have been restored, repaired, and painted by a retired, a lot of work here at the Fire Museum has been done by current members of the fire department and past retired members of the fire department also. Now, and fact meetings, but Mr. Emord is the advisor of the post. He's like the cub master or the troop master. And Rick's done a lot of work, a lot of the carpentry. He just finished back deck last night. Well, I was supposed to be with him. I got late. All right, what I want to show you on the street for a fire alarm, you know those red boxes on the telephone poles?
Yeah.
Well, in the old days, how old days? 1918?
This thing here just retired 5 years ago.
This they retired 5 years ago.
This thing here is in 1913.
This was put into service in 1913.
1946.
Yeah, that one back there. We've got some pictures too. I'll show you that. I think. Show you some more of it. And then you've got another panel. This is all connected with those street boxes. When you pull a box for a fire, it sends through this contraction and into the other one. That tells us exactly where the box was pulled from. Each box has a certain number on it, and this thing taps out, and it punches. We don't have the registers set up. I don't even see it. We don't have it. There's another pole. So that's what that's part of. And a whole bunch of firemen way back. How many years? 1941. 1940. We've got the 50th anniversary coming up right now. 50 years ago, we had a real bad fire in a theater, and a lot of Brockton firemen got killed in the fire. So what we've done is we've got this corner set aside with pictures, and we've got there was 13 firemen that died. They've got that picture 12. One died later, a week later. And we've got some pictures. We've got newspaper clippings there, and we've got photographs here of the inside of the theater. You can look around on all three sides. I don't want you to touch this because you can knock it over. Okay? Just take a look, go around it. We've got some pictures up in the corner also. You can see the different wall units, and these are the tapes. You can't really see the tapes too good. But that's the inside of the alarm room. The inside of the alarm room is still the same, it's just they've taken these big units out and put in a computer system. Over here in the corner, you see this old picture right here?
Yeah.
Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Now turn around. That's the same apparatus right there, that's called Protector 3. Yeah, so this Protector 3, that is right after they restored it. And half of those guys are still on the job. Still working. Now it's pumper. And when those arms slip down, you have like 8 guys on each side. 8 to 10 guys.
30 man the whole thing.
If they had them nowadays, it would have been 8 on each side. We got to cut that. 30 guys. All right, 15 guys on each side. All right? And it takes that many to pump that thing because what they do, you see that black hose that's curled around the back? That's just stuffed up in for right now. But they connect that to a plug or drop it into a creek or something to get the water from. And they pump this thing. And they connect it around here. You've got nozzles.
Okay, this is 1856. That means it was built before the Civil War. Okay, 1856 Jeffers hand tub. It is one of the largest model hand tubs ever built because it has a 10.5-inch piston in it. Okay, this is the piston here. Okay, when the arms would rotate, it would cause the pistons to cause pressure in the cistern here, and that would make the hose pressure. Okay, it was built in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It was one of many models built by the Jeffers company. But the 10.5-inch piston was the largest built by the Jeffers company. Okay, this is Protector 3. It was up in the
The Montello section of town.
Montello section of town. Okay, it was in service right up until the 1900s. Okay, this was still a first-line truck here, a piece of apparatus here in the city. What you see here now has been restored by the Brockton firefighters. Hopefully this next winter coming up, some gentlemen from Newburyport are going to come down and restore the pistons and everything and make it operational again. Okay? She was still operational until 1958 when she won her last trophy. Okay? What we have here is a competition nozzle. Okay? This would be hooked to a hose to the front of the tub here. Okay? And they would shoot for distance. The men would start pumping, and there's a pressure gauge. You can't see it, it's turned around backwards on you. They would build up pressure. The team captain stands on top of the arms, and he rotates back and forth and watches the pressure from the top. Okay? When the minute they have enough pressure, they watch the flags. There's 2 flagmen down in the field. They watch the flags. When the flags are not blowing anymore, that means there's no wind and they shoot for distance. They release this handle, and the pressure in the pumper blows the cap off, and they shoot a stream of water out. And at that time, you'll see this thing here rocking back and forth because they're going as fast as they can. They get enough pressure to shoot it a long distance. Okay. They used to shoot upwards of 250 feet. This building here is 50 feet long. Okay? So it's 5 times the length of this building. There used to be 3 nozzle men on these guns. Okay? There are different sized tips here. Over in the box over here, when you get to that area, you'll see that they have a competition tip. It's built just for competition.
Size, the end of that thing, see the difference?
Yeah.
See how much bigger this one is?
Yeah.
This one's going to shoot twice as far as this one does. What it does is it restricts the flow of water. And they use it, they call it a competition nozzle, but they also call it a public relations nozzle. Because when they don't have enough pressure for the water to shoot out of this one, and it's just kind of giving a crummy stream, they shut it off and they screw this one on. It's a much smaller tip, but it's going to make, you're not going to get a lot of water, but it's going to look nice. It's going to go further. It's going to go twice as far as this larger tip. So they also call it a public relations tip. You can see how long it is, but it's got threads in here that will screw on the end of the hose that will connect to the truck.
Okay. Now once they got this to the fire scene, and they needed volunteers because the guys were getting tired, they would ring the bell. That would call for more volunteers. Okay? Now, let's see. I think that's all what the handcuff we got out here. We got the competition nozzle right behind you there, Donnie, my cage on the floor. The box on the floor, right there, right quick. You have a trip on it. Larry pointed to it. Lift it up. Donnie, Larry pointed to it.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, they call that a deck gun. That used to be the deck gun that we used on Squad A downtown. Squad A is the rescue squad. Works out of Pleasant Street Station. You can see straps on it, shoulder straps, so that you can put it on your back. And what it does is it carries like 5 gallons of water. And when you go out in a brush fire where there's no water around, or a woods fire, and you need water, you'd have this on your back. It's very heavy, and it leaks quite a bit. What you do is you pump it. And when you pump it, of course, you got the hose coming up under your arm. When you pump it, the water comes shooting out of here. And they have little attachments so that you can get a fog spray out of it or a straight stream. And they still use these today. We still have them on the truck. This is an old one that's been put out of service, but they're made out of copper. Copper plated tin. And it's still the same way. They still use the same setup that they did years ago. The Forest Service. You ever see guys out fighting forest fires? A lot of them will carry these too. Down at the scout camp down at Squano, they use these on different brush fires and stuff. Very heavy, very awkward, but it works.
Chemical wagon.
Yeah, chemical wagon.
Yeah,
And
chemical powder in it.
what they did was, this cap here with the eagle unscrews off, and they have a hose connected to it, and you've got another tip that'll go in. And you've got the chemical powder that comes out, and you've got an old style kerosene lantern on the front. This thing gets pulled along by men also. What do these things look like? Well, it's like, well, it's a pitchfork. It's like a hay rake. But this would be used in some of the factories, some of the barns, you know, where they have the hot, when they used to have the stables. They had stables burned down right down by the Campello Fire Station, further down. You know what Sal's Restaurant is? Yeah. Down that way, Bennett's Camera. That area there on the other side used to be a stable. And they'd use this for getting the hay out of the way if it was burning or they had to get it out of the building.
Same with the pitchfork, Don?
Same thing. That there is a big pitchfork. You could use that for hay. You could use that for rags. There's a lot of textile type factories in the area that was using a lot of cloth, clothing mills. You had a lot of shoe.
Leather?
Yeah, well, leather, but you had a shoe industry in Brockton that dealt with a lot of leather and a lot of stuff like that. So you'd need, I know down at Sam Cohen's, we had a fire down at Sam Cohen's one time, and we had to break out the pitchforks just to get the bales of rags out of the way so that we could spread it out and get to where the fire was. Belts and nozzles and lights. A lot of different types of hand tools that we use in the fire service. Hydrant wrenches. You've got...
This is the big can opener. This is going for the soup.
You ever notice in the older schools how they have like a metal ceiling?
Yeah.
You ever notice a metal ceiling? What they do is they usually have panels that look like they're raised. And they're usually made out of tin. Now if you had a fire up in the ceiling and you had to get that ceiling open, you couldn't do it with an axe because it wouldn't break. You'd stick this into the ceiling and you'd open it just like a big old can opener. And that's what that tool was used for. We don't use it as much anymore. Most of the schools, the ceilings have been replaced. Got little picaroon. Okay, what would you use something like that for? Yeah, you could use that for getting into the ceilings and getting into the walls and stuff too. Thank you. This is called a mattock. This is usually used for cutting the underbrush in a brush fire. This would be digging into the roots and digging into the ground, and it was kind of sharp on the edge, so that it could cut the roots.
What's the one you put on the floor as a brush fire, that the roots will burn?
This is a hose rope. Okay, the guys would carry these on the ladder. If you were going to toss a line up a ladder, to secure the hose so it wouldn't drop, you'd wrap this around the hose and then hook it. And when you hooked it, say my arm was a hose, this would clamp on it, and you put this onto the ladder. Like that, and the hose wouldn't fall out of your hand, wouldn't fall down and hit anybody down below. They had a lot of different types of hose ropes and hose clamps, but this here works very well. They make them out of leather. That one's a cloth type, canvas type setup. We also work with a lot of, you can hold that up, with a lot of wires and electricity. This here is used for cutting wire cable. And what it does is it cuts a plug right out of the middle of it. We got a lot of different tools on the fire trucks. We have saws, and we have hammers and wrenches. And this is an old...
It's like a stretcher?
No, well, that's a chair that we use on the ambulance. When the department had their own ambulance, they just stopped using their own ambulance in '81. I used to ride it myself, and that's one of the chairs to get people down the narrow stairways. A lot of these old three-decker homes, you can't get down the stairways without using a chair, and that chair's got straps on it so they can strap the person in. Although we have dropped a few. Dropped them right on their head. We got jacks for jacking up. If you got somebody was working on a car and the car jack fell on it, that's a big Jimmy bar is what that is, a buster bar. That, you can use that for popping doors and popping windows. You can use either end. Okay, you got a crowbar on one end and you got a little Jimmy on the other. The jacks, like I say, we can use the jacks to jack a car up if a car has fallen on somebody, if their own had broken. Get the old leather buckets, canvas buckets, chains, and just an old Seagrave.
It's a headlight.
Headlight for a Seagrave truck.
It used to be on the truck. When they got to a fire, they take the light off, take it in with them, and a battery in it.
Yep, and they got a little switch on the front, a little hook here, and it's very heavy.
The old Navy dog.
Okay, the old Navy, this is what they used to use on the Navy ships. Okay, they've got a
fog tip.
tip that you can switch from using a straight stream, which is on top, point to the small one. And you can get a straight stream out of that, or you can use the bottom, which would give you a spread.
They also have a wand that goes on the end. We can show you downstairs if you get one set up. That's it in this corner.
We still use this type of nozzle on the trucks. This is an old nozzle. The end will unscrew, and there's different size tips that you can use for this. And they still use these. These work real good. They call it.
Have a little bit.
Why don't you let me get in front of you, okay? Back out here. Back out here, son.
Back up.
You get in here.
Make it all safe.
Okay, now, this is the helmet that was used by the auxiliary firemen. We don't have auxiliary firemen anymore. All we have is permanent people on the job now. But this was from the 1950 era. This is a plastic helmet. Okay, they don't use these anymore because they're not that much protection. They have newer helmets now. We don't have a new one here. But that was for the auxiliary firefighter, and this was the coats that he used. Now this coat's kind of lightweight. They have even lighter weight coats now, but the coats we have now are more protection. This is a canvas type coat with the hooks. You got a big collar, big pockets. And this is what the auxiliary firemen use. Now what we got here, this is a civil defense helmet. This is much heavier. It's a metal pot. You could cook stew in this if you had to, okay? This is the old civil defense helmet. This is a real old leather helmet. This was made out of leather. Now this was what they used years and years ago, but you can see it's all stitched. It's all stitched together. when these were made, they wet them and molded them into place. Problem with this is, they won't let you use these anymore either. When these things get hot, when you get into a fire, this can burn up. These usually won't. These will melt a little bit, but these will burn up. We got one guy that works with us here at the post, and he's got an old helmet that he uses. The back of this here is folded right up from the heat. And it's just bent and mushed, but he likes it. He doesn't use it on the job. This is another plastic composition type helmet. This is a captain's helmet. And this number 3 means he's from Station 3 on North Main Street. Okay? And he was a ladder man because he's got a red top here. You can see this is kind of broken on top. They don't let us use these anymore too. We have brand new helmets. This here is a dress cap that we still use the same type of cap when we go to parades or if we go to funerals. And they usually have an emblem on the front, whether you're a firefighter or an officer. And that shows what you are. And this is an officer's cap. You can see, in fact, this is a captain's cap. See the 2 bugles?
Yeah.
With a circle around him? That means he's a captain. If there was 1 bugle, what would he be? What's under a captain? A lieutenant. Okay, lieutenant, captain. And then we have a deputy chief and we have a chief. But this is an officer's hat because it has a white top. This is a regular firefighter's cap. Okay, now, we're gonna, can we get in there?
Yeah, what is it?
Okay, these are handmade models, and they're pretty neat. I don't know if you can see, there's tools that he's made up on that white piece of paper. There's small hand tools. And we've got some old photographs of firefighters from the late 1800s right here. Everybody see this? And we got some even neater ones right here. You're going to have to kind of rotate through to take a look at these. Those are newer. I personally use the stairs when I can. I don't use the pole. If you're wet at night you're coming in from a fire and you're all wet, and you're upstairs and a call comes in, if you slide the pole, you're going to come down very fast because no matter how hard you squeeze that pole, when you're soaking wet, you're going to go right down. It's like greasing the pole with oil. So we usually try and use the stairs whenever we can. Well, you can't use, he's got this closed off. And we can't take you upstairs because what we have upstairs is a setup just like an office in a fire station and a bunk room. We have a table, we have desks and an office type area, and then we have beds set up there. We can't go upstairs because the railings aren't set yet. They're not complete. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take you downstairs right now. And we're going to give you a presentation of the equipment that we're using now. Yeah. You guys see this?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
Ladder.
What kind of ladder? A weird looking ladder. Well, this is called, they have several types of these. This is called a pompier ladder. It's used basically nowadays, what they use it for is for training. They usually don't use them. And they're very, very unstable. But if you were in, say you had to get from one floor to another and you couldn't use the stairs, and you say you're on the 3rd floor and you had to get to the 4th floor, what you do is you get one of these and you stick it out the window. You see that big hook? What you do is you slide this up and stick it into the next window. And then climb up to that ledge, pull this up, slide it up to the next window. Stick it in, climb up to the next level, and just keep on going. You can go right up to the roof. But we don't really practically use these anymore. This is kind of, like I say, for training only. They're made out of wood. The ladders that are used nowadays are made out of aluminum. This is kind of heavy. You've got wood and steel on here. It's kind of tough climbing up and then have to pull it up and then go up a little higher. We've got some old flashing beacons. You know how you put flares out in the road to let everybody know that there's an accident? What they used to do was they used to pull this out and hook it up to a battery, car battery, and the light would blink. It says Brockton Fire Department right on here. They don't use these anymore either. But this was like a flare. Got another type of nozzle here that used the same way as the competition nozzles for that. And we can still use these nowadays too. We still do use them. And the tips unscrew. You can put different size tips on these. See that? See how wide that is? You can get different tips to screw in that are either smaller or larger. Or you could just shoot water out of that. Get a lot of water out of it, but it wouldn't go too far. We showed you this. This is a hose wagon, and they wind up. The hose can be wound all the way up to here on this, and that's pulled along for this particular piece. And these are nozzles here, by the way. See that? Just take that little ornament out of there, and there's a nozzle. You hitch that to the hose, and this is pulled by men also. See that red handle down there? You got a guy that runs on either side of that, and you got another guy ringing the bell. That means all you horses get out of the way. They use this.
Brass rivets all the way down. Okay, that was the type of hose they used in the old days. This one here is a 50-foot length of hose. Okay, most of you from the west side of Brockton, correct? Okay, you know the fire station up by the high school? Well, the old station, that's Station 6. The old Station 6 is down on Belmont Street, okay? It's all closed up. It's now used for civil defense. This bell came out the tower of that, okay? When that building was built, this bell was put into that tower. What we have here is a striking mechanism, okay? It's a sledgehammer welded onto an arm. They used to strike the bell, okay? When the alarm would come in over here on the alarm panel, it would go to the station, okay? In those days, they had to call firefighters, okay? The sledgehammer would start striking the bell and strike out the box number. So it was box 412. It would strike 4 times, 1 time, and 2 times, okay? This thing here is a striking mechanism that made the arm swing and hit the bell. Now, this was electrically operated. When the electricity was out and they had to call firefighters, they had a crank on the side, so somebody had to go up to the bell tower and hand crank this bell. Okay? That's part of the old system that they used for calling up the firefighters. Okay. Now, Mr. Bissett told you there.
See the office over on the right, like I told you?
Yeah.
We've got the office right there. That's just like the officer's office. On the left, you see the bed right next to the pole. That's an old bed that come out of one of the stations. We still use those same type of beds. We just have different mattresses now. There's also a large table in the middle of the room up there, and then we have the pole too.
That table has been in the city of Brockton at Station 3 since the day they had horses. That table was built for shoeing the horses.
Yep. This is the only branch of the Boy Scouts that we can have active female participants. And like I say, that's from 14 to 21. We do have also female adults too that have to supervise. We have to have so many adults to so many kids, and it's with the males and the females too. Now, like I said, we have this particular post is a firefighting and rescue type post. They have law enforcement posts that would be